Okay, so here is a quick guide on how you can move to Australia on a working holiday visa. It's the way that I moved to Australia nearly 3 years ago now, and yeah, I had 2 amazing years in Australia and definitely want to go back for a third one. And it's all because of this visa, which allows you to go and work and travel in Australia. And today I'm going to tell you a bit of information that you need to know about the visa and yeah, why you should definitely do it. So let's start off with a few of the basics about this visa. So when I applied for the visa, you could do 1 year in Australia. If you wanted to do a second year, you then had to do 3 months of farm work to get that second year. If you then wanted to do a third year, you had to do 6 months of farm work just to be able to do that third year. So 3 years was the maximum you could do if you did the farm work. However, earlier last year in July, they actually changed the rules for the visa for Australia, and people from the UK can go to Australia for 3 years and work and live there for 3 years without having to do any farm work. You just have to apply for each year for the visa. You don't get a 3-year visa, you just have to apply and pay for the visa each year. But that's mad. To me, I always thought that I'd do 3 months of farm work, that's all right. To stay an extra year, that's definitely worth it. I definitely wasn't gonna do 6 months of farm work to stay a third year, because it would end up being like 7-8 months of farm work, because our 3 months took about 4. But anyway, aside from the farm work, it's mad now that people could literally just go to Australia for 3 years. Yeah, it's such a big opportunity now for people in the UK. It doesn't have to be a permanent move, of course, but you could move to Australia for 3 years in your 20s or whatever. Like, what an opportunity that is. I don't know why you would stay in the UK. So a few of the basics about the visa: you have to be between the ages of 18 and 35 in order to apply for the visa and get accepted. You obviously have to have no like criminal charges, anything like that, criminal record, or yeah, anything, because they are quite strict with all the questions and stuff they ask you for the visa. It's not just like a 2-minute application, it might take you an hour or two. There's quite a lot of questions. So yeah, no criminal record, obviously, anything like that. So the visa costs 650 Australian dollars. I'll put the conversions on the screen for British pounds. I believe it's like 300 and something British pounds, which for a whole year in Australia, I do not think is bad at all. And yeah, that you can stay there for up to 3 years on each visa. There's not that many restrictions, to be honest, with the visa when you live in Australia. There's a few specific ones, such as you can only work with one employer for 6 months. There is obviously ways around this. You can just stay at a job and not say anything, because like, I don't think a lot of the employers actually know the visa rules that much. Although probably avoid doing that one, you want to do it properly. A lot of employers, if they're happy with you in the job, are very happy to keep you on. All they've got to do is fill out a form, I'm pretty sure, on the website, which allows you to stay in that job for an extra 6 months or something like that. Because it's a bit of a pain, to be honest. If you want to stay somewhere for a good couple of years of work, you don't want to be chopping and changing jobs all the time. Even though I did that a lot in Australia, there was only one job where I stayed for longer than 6 months. But yeah, there is ways around that restriction. When you're on the visa in Australia, there's no rules. You don't have to work. You can, providing you've got the money, obviously, you can just travel the whole country. There isn't really many restrictions on jobs. You can get any job: construction, retail, hospitality, anything like that. There's no real restrictions. Some employers can be a little bit funny when they see that you're on a visa, but if you just kind of prove to them like, yeah, like, I'm going to try and stay, try and get residency, stuff like that, a lot of the time it does work. But yeah, there's not really many limits. I did everything in Australia. I worked in the city, I did farm work, I traveled the whole country. You can even go in and out of the country if you want. If you want to go Asia for a month, Asia for a few months, or go traveling somewhere and then come back to Australia, you can. You can do 1 year in Australia, then go back home for a year, and then come back and do your second year. There really is no limits. It's really cool. Although, I'll be surprised if you do that. I do see some people that go to Australia and then they go home for a year or whatever and then come back. Personally, when I was in Australia, I couldn't leave. I loved it so much. And the only thing that got us through leaving, I think, was knowing that we were going traveling to like Thailand, which made it easier. But I cannot wait to get back for my third year there. So there's some of the basics about the working holiday visa. There is obviously lots of little bits which are worth reading up on about the visa, things that you might want to know. But that's the basics. It's not complicated at all. I mean, I never really had any issues. Once that visa was booked, once I had my visa, sorry, moved to Australia, and you kind of forget about your visa. You don't worry about all the complications of it because, like, there isn't really you are pretty free to live and do what you want when you're in Australia. So if you're thinking of moving there, definitely make a move. I'll leave the links in the description and stuff for how you can apply for the visa, and just book it. Do you know what I mean? You've obviously got to make sure you got the savings and stuff, because they do ask. That's another thing actually, they do ask for about £2,000. I'm pretty sure it was last time I applied for it. You have to prove that you have that in the bank before you move, just to show that you can like support yourself there. But yeah, that's about it. So definitely do it. It's the best thing you can do, especially if you kind of lost, you don't know what you're doing with your life in the UK or anywhere. By the way, a lot of these rules are UK based. I'm not sure if other countries allow you to do 3 years and stuff. I know lots of countries can get working holiday visas, but I don't know if they're all as easy as the UK. So anyway, thank you for watching. Go and book your visa now, and yeah, get yourself to Australia because you will have the best time ever.